All right, what's up, y'all? What's up, family? How y'all feeling? How y'all doing today? So one of the things I wanted to do since I got off super quick yesterday is I wanted to talk about scriptures, Genesis 19, 20, and 21, because it was really interesting. So I want to talk about it. So in these scriptures, we see that Lot has visitors come, and they're basically angels from the Lord. And so when they came, basically he protected them because there was men in the city that were basically wanting to have sex with them and wanted to do like have same sex relations, and this was Sodom and Gomorrah. This was at a time when Sodom and Gomorrah was completely disobedient to God and just did everything under the sun. And so they were basically trying to take the men and do whatever they want with them. So Lot, he offered his daughters to them. They didn't want them. They was going to say they basically was going to do worse things to him than what they was trying to do um to the other men. And so let me know in the comments as well if you can hear me or not. So I know I'm using this new platform called StreamYard, just trying to see how it looks afterwards and just trying to see how like what's the best thing to use instead of just going straight off Facebook since it'd be kind of a little blurry. So let me know in the comments if you can like hear me, understand me well, and if I look okay as far as the quality of the camera. But yeah, so Lot invites these visitors to his house, and basically they tell him that he needs to, whatever family he has there, or whoever that he wants to save, he needs to let them know that they need to go and leave. And so basically, Lot asked the men if he can give them some time to contact them, and so they can get out the city. So long story short, they was able to get out the city. He took his wife. He took his two daughters. He told his sons-in-law about it, but they thought it was a joke. And so the angels of the Lord was basically saying, you need to go. We need to go before it be destroyed. And so they was able to leave the city, and they wanted him to run to a mountain, but he asked them if he could go to a small town. And so they just said that was okay. And so basically they were about to destroy Sodom and Gomorrah. And so basically the angels told them to leave and not look back. Lot's wife was disobedient, and she looked back and turned into a pillar of salt. And it's just this whole story just was wild. And so Lot and his two daughters was able to escape, and then they completely destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah. And so then we move on into the next part of the story, which is the daughters basically came up with this idea that since there's no men where they are, they're basically going to have sex with their father so they can produce children. So basically, they came up with a plan to get their father drunk, their father Lot, get him drunk with wine, and then once he passed out, the oldest daughter went in and had sex with their father, and then the next night they got him drunk. He didn't know. The next night they got him drunk again, and the youngest daughter had sex with their father. And so then the two girls found out they was pregnant. And so this is just like it's just some interesting, wild stories in the Bible that's like crazier than the messiest TV show you can ever see. And so what's next? What happens next? And so Abraham once again um, gave his wife to another king, and basically, so the thing was that most of the time, when a lot of times, if in Abraham's mind, if he would have told them that he was Sarah's husband, they would basically kill him and take his wife. So he would always tell them that this is my sister, and so that way they keep him alive and they look out for him, and basically he give up his wife. But so Abimelech found out through a dream that Abraham was actually Sarah's husband, and the Lord basically told him that he wasn't going to punish him. He just needed to give Sarah back to Abraham, and so that's what he did. And basically, the Lord was going to cause his wife and his kid or his servants to not be able to have kids, but Abraham ended up praying to the Lord, and God healed him. And so we go on to the next one. And this is where we finally see in Genesis 21, this is where we finally see Sarah have a son. And this what the Lord had promised uh, the year before. And so just like he said that would happen, she was pregnant with a son and they named him Ishmael. And so immediately, um, once he was, no, not Ishmael, they ended up naming him as Isaac. And so immediately when Isaac was 8 days old, he did what God commanded and circumcised him. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Isaac was born, which that's really interesting. And so basically, Sarah told Abraham that he needed to send off his servant wife. She didn't really like that, and she didn't want Ishmael to inherit all the things that she wanted Isaac to inherit, like the land and everything that Abraham owned. She didn't want Ishmael to inherit his other son to inherit it. So he ended up having to send off his son, his first son, and his their servant maid that he basically had sex with, and so yeah, they sent her off, and basically Hagar and Ishmael was in the woods, and she was like super sad about that. She didn't know how to like comfort her son. Um, she was upset, uh, and just basically the Lord promised um, Abraham that he would still take care of Ishmael and the servant wife, or in Hagar. And so the Lord came to her as the baby was crying, as Ishmael was crying, and as Hagar was crying, and basically telling her that he was gonna be there for them, and he was gonna protect them and keep them and bless them. Um, and so that's just a little snippet of what was happening in these past scriptures. And so now we're gonna move on to um, Genesis 22, 23, and 24. And it reads, okay. So the title is Abraham, Kill Your Son. After these things, God decided to test Abraham's faith. God said to him, Abraham. He said, yes. Then God said, take your son to the land of Moriah and kill your son there as a sacrifice for me. This must be Isaac, your only son, and the one you love. Use him as a burnt offering on the mountain there, of on one of the mountains there. I will tell you which mountain. In the morning, Abraham got up and saddled his donkey. He took Isaac and two servants with him. He cut the wood for the sacrifice. Then they went to the place where God told them to go. After they traveled 3 days, Abraham looked up, and in the distance he saw the place where they were going. Then he said to his servants, stay here with the donkey. The boy and I will go to the place and worship. Then he will come back to you later. Then we will come back to you later. Abraham took the wood for the sacrifice and put it on his son's shoulders. Abraham took the special knife and fire. Then both he and his son went together to the place for worship. Isaac said to his father Abraham, Father. Abraham answered, yes, son. Isaac said, I see the wood and fire, but where is the lamb we will burn as a sacrifice? Abraham answered, God himself is providing a lamb for the sacrifice, my son. So both Abraham and his son went together to that place. When they came to the place where God told them to go, Abraham built an altar. He carefully laid the wood on the altar. Then he tied up his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. Then Abraham reached for his knife to kill his son, but the angel of the Lord stopped him. The angel called from heaven and said, Abraham, Abraham. Abraham answered, yes. The Lord said, don't kill your son and hurt him in any way. Now I can see that you respect and obey God. I see that you are ready to kill your son, your only son, for me. Then Abraham noticed a ram whose horns were caught in the bush. So Abraham went and took the ram. He offered it instead of his son as a sacrifice to God. So Abraham gave that place a name, the Lord provides. Even today, people say, on the mountain of the Lord, he will give us what we need. The angel of the Lord called to Abraham from heaven a second time. The angel said, you were ready to kill your only son for me. Since you did this for me, I make you this promise. I, the Lord, promise that I will surely bless you and give you as many descendants. Sorry, 1 second, y'all. Okay. And give you as many descendants as the stars in the sky. There will be as many people as sand on the seashore. Your people will live in cities that they will take from their enemies. Every nation on the earth will be blessed through your descendants. I will do this because you obey me. Then Abraham went back to his servants. They all traveled back to Beersheba, and Abraham stayed there. After all these things happened, a message was sent to Abraham. It said, your brother Nahor and his wife Milcah have children now. The first son is Uz. The second son is Buz. The third son is Kemuel, the father of Aram. Then there are Chesed, Hazel, Pildash, Jidlaph, and Bethel. Bethel was the father of Rebekah. Milcah was the mother of these 8 sons, and Nahor was the father. Nahor was Abraham's brother. Also, Nahor had other sons from his slave woman, Ramah. The sons were Taba, Gaham, Tahash, and Makkah. Okay. Genesis 23, Sarah dies. Sarah lived to be 127 years old. She died in the city of Kiriath Arba, or Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Abraham was very sad and cried for her there. Then he left his dead wife and went to talk to the Hittites. He said, I am only a foreigner staying in your country. I have no place to bury my wife. Please give me some land so that I can bury her. The Hittites answered Abraham, sir, you are a great leader among us. You can have the best place we have to bury your dead. You can have any of our burying places that you want. None of us will stop you from burying your wife there. Abraham got up and bowed to the people. He said to them, if you really want to help me bury my dead wife, speak to Ephron, the son of Zahor, for me. I would like to buy the cave of Machpelah, or Machpelah, which belongs to Ephron. It is at the end of his field. I will pay him the full price. I want all of you to be witnesses that I am buying it as a burial place. Ephron was sitting there among the people. He answered Abraham, no, sir. Here in front of my people, I give you that land and the cave on it, so that you can bury your wife. Abraham bowed before the Hittites. He said to Ephron before all the people, but I want to give you the full price for the field. Accept my money, and I will bury my dead. Ephron answered Abraham, sir, listen to me. 10 pounds of silver mean nothing to you or me. Take the land and bury your dead wife. Abraham understood that Ephron was telling him the price of the land. So Abraham paid him for the land. He weighed out 10 pounds of silver for Ephron and gave it to the merchant. So the field of Ephron changed owners. This field was Machpelah near Mamre. Abraham became the owner of the field, the cave in it, and all became the owner of the field, the cave in it, and all the trees in the field. Everyone in the city saw the agreement between Ephron and Abraham. After this, Abraham buried his wife Sarah in the cave of that field near Mamre, or Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Abraham bought the field and the cave in it from the Hittites. So this became his property to be used as a burial place. Okay. Genesis 24, a wife for Isaac. Abraham lived to be lived to be a very old man. The Lord blessed him in everything he did. Abraham's oldest servant was in charge of everything he owned. Abraham called that servant to him and said, "Put your hand under my leg," which that's what they did back then as a sign to keep a very important promise. Now I want to make a promise. I want you to make a promise to me. Promise to me before the Lord, the God of heaven and earth, that you will not allow my son to marry a girl from Canaan. We live among these people, but don't let him marry a Canaanite girl. Go back to my country, to my own people, to find a wife for my son Isaac. Bring her to him. The servant said to him, maybe this woman will not want to come back with me to this land. If that happens, should I take your son with me to your homeland? Abraham said to him, no, don't take my son to that place. The Lord, the God of heaven, the God of heaven, brought me from my homeland to this place. That place was the home of my father and the home of my family. But he promised that this new land will belong to my family. May he send his angel before you so that you can choose a wife for my son. If the girl refuses to come with you, you will be free from this promise. But you must not take my son back to that place. So the servant put his hand under his master's leg and made the promise. The search begins. The servant took 10 of Abraham's camels and left the place. The servant carried with him many different kinds of beautiful gifts. He went to Mesopotamia, to Naor city. In the evening, when the women come out to get water, he went to the water well outside the city. He made the camels kneel down at the well. The servant said, Lord, you are the God of my master Abraham. Please show your kindness to my master by helping me find a wife for his son Isaac. Here I am, standing by this well of water, and the young women from the city are coming out to get water. I will say to one of them, please put your jar down so that I can drink. Let her answer show whatever Let her answer show whether she is the one you have chosen for your servant Isaac. If she says drink, and I will also give water to your camels, I will know that she is the right one. It will be proof that you have shown kindness to my master. A wife is found. Before the servant finished praying, a young woman named Rebecca came to the well. She was the daughter of Bethel. Bethel was the son of Milcah and Nahor, Abraham's brother. Rebecca came to the well with her water jar on her shoulder. She was very pretty. She was a virgin. No man had ever had sexual relations with her. She went down to the well and filled her jar. Then the servant ran to her and said, please give me a little water to drink from your jar. Rebecca quickly lowered the jar from her shoulder and gave him a drink. She said, drink this, sir. As soon as she finished giving him something to drink, Rebecca said, I will also pour some water for your camels. So Rebecca quickly poured all the water from her jar into the drinking trough for the camels. Then she ran to the well to get more water, and she gave water to all the camels. The servant quickly watched her. He wanted to be sure that the Lord had given him an answer and had made his trip successful. After the camels finished drinking, he gave Rebecca a gold ring that weighed 1/4 ounce. He also gave her 2 gold arm bracelets that weighed 2 ounces each. The servant asked, who is your father? And is there a place in your father's house for me and my men to sleep? Rebecca answered, my father is Bethel, the son of Milcah and Nahor. Then she said, yes, we have straw and other food for your camels and a place for you to sleep. The servant bowed and worshiped the Lord. He said, praise be to the Lord, the God of my master Abraham. The Lord has been kind and loyal to him by leading me and loyal to him by leading me to his own people. Then Rebekah ran and told her family about all these things. She had a brother named Laban. She told him what the man had said to her. Laban was listening to her, and when he saw the ring and the bracelets on his sister's arm, he ran out to the well. There the man was standing by the camels at the well. Laban said, sir, you are welcome to come in. You don't have to stand outside here. I have prepared a room for you to sleep in a place for your camels. So Abraham's servant went into the house. Laban unloaded his camels and gave them straw and feed. Then he gave Abraham's servant water so that he and the men with him could wash their feet. Laban then gave him food to eat, but the servant refused to eat. He said, I will not eat until I have told you why I came. So Laban said, then tell us, bargaining for Rebekah. The servant said, I am Abraham's servant. The Lord has greatly blessed my master in everything. My master has become a great man. The Lord has given him many flocks of sheep and herds of cattle. He has much silver and gold and many servants. He has many camels and donkeys. Sarah was my master's wife. When she was very old, she gave birth to a son, and my master has given everything he owns to that son. My master forced me to make a promise to him. He said to me, you must not allow my son to marry a girl from Canaan. We live among these people, but I don't want him to marry one of the Canaanite girls. So you must promise to go to my father's country, go to my family, and choose a wife for my son. I said to my master, maybe the woman will not come back to this place with me. But the master said to me, I serve the Lord, and he will send his angel with you and help you. You will find a wife for my son among my people there. But if you go to my father's country and they refuse to give you a wife for my son, you will be free from this promise. Today I came to this well and said, Lord, God of my master Abraham, please make my trip successful. I will stand by this well and wait for a young woman to come to get water. Then I will say, please give me water from your jar. Please give me water from your jar to drink. The right woman will answer in a special way. She will say, drink this water, and I will also get water for your camels. That way I will know that she is the one the Lord has chosen for my master's son. Before I finished praying, Rebecca came out to the well to get water. She had her water jar on her shoulder as she went to get water from the well. I asked her to give me some water. She quickly lowered the jar from her shoulder and poured me some water. Then she said, drink this, and I'll get some water for your camels. So I drank the water, and she gave water to my camels. Then I asked her, who is your father? She answered, my father is Bethel, the son of Milcah, and Nahor. Then I gave her the ring and bracelets for her arms. I bowed my head and worshiped the Lord. I praised the Lord and the God of my master Abraham. I thanked him for leading me straight to the granddaughter of my master's brother. Now, tell me, will you be kind and loyal to my master and give him your daughter? Or will you refuse? Or will you refuse to give her to him? Tell me so that I will know what I should do. Then Laban and Bethel answered, we see that this is from the Lord, so there is nothing we can say to change it. Here is Rebekah. Take her and go. Let her marry your master's son. This is what the Lord wants. When Abraham's servant heard this, he bowed to the ground before the Lord. God's timing is perfect for show key. Then he gave Rebekah the gifts he brought. He gave her beautiful clothes and gold and silver and silver jewelry. He also gave expensive gifts to her mother and brother. Then he and his men had something to eat and drink, and they spent the night there. Early the next morning, they got up, and the servant said, now we must go back to my master. Rebekah's mother and her brother said, let Rebekah stay with us for a short time. Let her stay with us 10 days. After that, she can go. But the servant said to them, don't make me wait. The Lord has made my trip successful. Now let me go back to my master. Rebekah's brother and mother, we will call Rebekah and ask her what she wants to do. They called her and asked her, do you want to go with this man now? Rebekah said, yes, I will go. So they allowed Rebekah to go with Abraham's servant and his men. Her nurse also went with them. While Rebekah was leaving, they said to her, our sister, may you be the mother of millions of people, and may your descendants defeat their enemies and take their cities. Then Rebekah and her nurse got on the camels and followed the servant and his men. So the servant took Rebekah and left. Isaac had left Beer Lahai Roy and was now living in Negev. One evening he went out to the field to think. He looked up and saw the camels coming from far away. Rebekah also looked and saw Isaac. Then she jumped down from the camel. She said to the servant, who is that young man walking in the field to meet us? The servant said, that is my master's son. So Rebekah covered her face with her veil. The servant told Isaac everything that had happened. Then Isaac brought the girl into his mother's tent. Rebekah became his wife that day. Isaac loved her very much, so he was comforted after his mother's death. And that is Genesis 22, 23, and 24. Okay, So let's talk about this as well. So okay, in Genesis 22, that God God finally blesses Abraham and Sarah with the son. And so now God is requesting Abraham to basically give his son back to him. And this was all a part of a test for God to see if Abraham will be faithful, since the Lord was faithful to him. And this made me think about when it comes to like our tithes, like God want to see every time we get paid or every time we get an increase, what will we do with that? Like, will we show our thanks and we show our gratitude to the Lord to give it back to him? So that's what I think about. But so yeah, we see that the Lord requests for him to sacrifice his son on the mountain. So he goes up, and right before, well, what was really interesting too was that Abraham had told his servants that he told his two servants to stay down at the mountain, and basically that we are going to come back. So it's like he had faith, even though he was about to sacrifice his son. It looked to me as if he had already had faith that Isaac was going to come back, which is interesting. So he went up, and right before he was about to kill his son and sacrifice his son, um, the angel of the Lord stopped him, and there was a ram in the thickets, in the bushes, and instead of killing Isaac, he was able to sacrifice the ram because he was obedient to the Lord. And so they called that mountain God provides, because he provided another sacrifice instead of, sorry, he provided another sacrifice instead of having to sacrifice his son. Um, and God told him that he'll be blessed, and he'll have as many descendants as the stars. Um, and okay, we go to the next thing. But before we go to the next thing, can you imagine me and Isaac? He like, Dad, I see that we got rope, I see that we got wood, and he carrying the stuff. He like, but I don't see the sacrifice we living. Yeah, 25 years of waiting into fruition, but can it's about harvest of God can trust with a little, he will trust you with much, for sure. So yeah, so we see, can you imagine being Isaac, and he like, I see we got all this stuff, but where is the sacrifice? And Abraham answered in a perfect way, because I don't know, as a father, I have a son and he's 10 months now. I can't imagine telling my son like it's the faith you gotta have, like, oh yeah, yeah, God gonna provide for sure. But like, you already know that God told you to sacrifice your son, so how do you even say, you know man, that's faith. Okay. And um so years happen, and around when Sarah becomes 127 years old, she dies. Yeah, that's tough, man. I don't know for sure. It's wild. So his wife dies. His wife Sarah dies, and basically, he wants to go back to his homeland to go and bury her. And so they bought this land that came with a cave and came with a field and more stuff, so he can bury his wife. And originally, the people there, they was gonna basically just let him do it. Like, he didn't have to pay nothing. But Abraham, he was like, I know you have a price, so I'm gonna pay you what I need to pay you in order to do this. Like, don't do this for free for me. Just take my money. And so, and then once Abraham got very old, he wanted Isaac to have a wife that wasn't the Canaanite people. He wanted his people he wanted his son's wife to come from his people. And so that's one thing that's pretty interesting when it comes to the biblical times, because nowadays at our we look at our uncles, children, basically they're our cousins. But then I don't think the term cousin, or even that concept of, like, that cousin concept, was a thing back then. So it was more so they married cousins. If that makes sense. Um, and so we see that a lot in the Bible, which is interesting to think about. And so basically, um, they he went back to his homeland. He had a servant go back to his homeland to find Isaac a wife, and it turns out the servant ended up finding um, his brother, Abraham's brother, and found his brother's daughter. So he was able to find that was part of the family. And the way God works is it all worked out. He asked for confirmation. That was a pretty interesting thing to see, that even the servant had faith and was like, he prayed for it. He prayed for God to bring it to fruition. Like, he didn't go out and go by his own will and be like, okay, she looks pretty nice. He didn't do it like that. He prayed, and then she came, and he prayed specifically, and God answered in that specific way. And I think that's a good lesson that we should learn, to be specific with our prayers. And in every situation, no matter how big or small the situation is, we should pray and ask God to give us the answer, to give us like um, the answer that we're looking for, or not that we're looking for, but His answer, His direction, His guidance. And that's what the servant did, which is really commendable. And God answered it, and he got the blessing that he was looking for, and he was able to complete the mission that his master asked him to do. And so once he finds her, uh, it's interesting because with the story of the Bible, like with the story and things that he brings, or that the Bible shows, is it go into detail. And so it's interesting to see, like, we see this all happen, and then it goes back again to where he's telling them how it happened. And so that's what makes this um that's really this really confirmed a lot for me, bro. I appreciate you, dog, for sure, man. Yeah, for sure. um See, my mission is to God put it on my heart for me to like read through the Bible and like really get an understanding, and read it in a way that's not, where I can really understand it, where I can get the concepts, where I can get the details, and it not be like foreign. So I started reading in the easy to read version, and that has really helped with bringing it down to an understanding where I can relate to it in today's terms. Um, and so yeah, we're here at Abraham's servant. He finds Isaac a wife, and basically he meets the brothers, he meets the family, and basically he has to bargain to get Rebecca to come like now, instead of waiting, instead of like her staying with her family for like 10 more days just for them to have some time. He like, I really need to just go. Like, we need to go back and like show my servant that I completed the mission, or show my master I completed the mission. And so yeah, so now we're here, and he brought Rebecca back, or he brought Rebecca to back to Abraham and Isaac, and now Isaac has a wife. And so it just, I feel like it really made Abraham happy and Isaac happy in the midst of this time that Isaac lost his mother. So yeah, so that's a summary of what we just read. I appreciate y'all for listening. If you came on, Key, I appreciate you commenting, man, and just stay connected. I post these lives on my YouTube channel, and you can find me as at Trey Christak, my name and everything. Um, and so my goal is to like read through the Bible in the sequence, just straight through, and just see what I can pull out, see what type of revelations we can get from this, um, and really just out here doing God's work, man. So y'all stay connected. Y'all be blessed. Y'all have a great day. Peace.